Good morning, class. So, today in the subject zoology, we are going to see the digestive system. So, this is a very first system in the animal physiology, which we are going to start from here. So, the very first, basically, the process of digestion that involve the breakdown of large complex organic molecules into the smaller components that can be used by the body. So when we are going to eat something, or when we eat something, we are just eating the complex molecules, or you can say the food is in the form of the complex molecule, and that cannot be used directly by the body as like we need some nutrition like the fatty acids, and you can say amino acids and lipids. So basically when our body is having a digestion process and we are taking food inside, at that time we are taking the food in a very complex manner. So that's why our body needed to be break down that particular food into the small macromolecules or micromolecules, and that body can going to utilize that. That process is also called as the respiration process of the cell, or you can say the cellular respiration, in which our body going to break down our complex food into the smaller piece, and they will be going to utilize that. So here, molecules need to be small enough to diffuse across the plasma membrane. So that's why the molecule which we have it, they cannot be you can say they cannot be transfer across the plasma membrane. Hence, we needed to be break down them into a smaller molecules. So let's start with our digestion process. So in our digestion, if we see the two broad categories here, first is the mechanical digestion, or you can say the physical digestion. So in the physical digestion, the very first step which we are going to take here, that is breakdown by the mouth, or you can say the chewing. That also everyone or every elder one, they suggest us to chew our food as we can do. Like some said it have to be chewed like 28 times by it, and sometimes they say that it have to be chewed like 32 times. So it will be ultimately good for our digestion, so that's why we have suggested for that. So the smaller pieces of food that increase surface area for the digestion. So as a smaller piece of the food we will going to take, they will be going to increase the surface area of our digestion, or in a simplest form, they will be going to increase the rate of our digestion. So it also takes place in the stomach, churning of the food by the muscular stomach walls. So after this, when we chew it by our teeth, this same process, this same kind of physical digestion that have to be done at very minute level inside our stomach also. So as we cannot be do it very efficiently like it have to be. So at that time, the stomach wall going to help us by burning of these particular food. Now, the second thing is here the chemical digestion. So, in the physical digestion, that is just about to breaking up of molecule, and the chemical digestion we are going to use some enzymes, juices, and some you can say other things which are going to chemically break down, or you can say they are going to change the chemical structure of our food. So whatever the food we are going in a first physical method, we are just breaking down from the larger molecules to the smaller molecules. But in the chemical digestion, what we are going to use, we are going to change the chemistry of our food. So here we are going to change our complex food substances into the simplest form. Like if we are taking the starch, by the use of the amylase enzyme, we are going to change or convert into the maltose. So basically, in the form of maltose, fructose, and glucose, these things can be utilized inside our body. Otherwise, it cannot be taken up by the cell membranes. So that's why these two processes are very important for the a good, or you can say the very good type of the digestion. So if we talk about the chemical digestion a little more, then if we are taking the starch, or you can say the carbohydrate digestion in mouth and the small intestine. So if we talk about how the some kind of complex molecules can be digested by the chemically. So if we talk about the starch, or you can say the carbohydrate, they are going to be digested in two places, one in the mouth and second in the small intestine. Second, if we talk about the protein digestion here, that can be done inside the stomach and small intestine. And if we are going to talk about the fat digestion, that only happen inside the small intestine. So these are the three very important kind of nutrients that body going to be utilized in the ATP or energy formation: starch, protein, and fat. And these are the, you can say, these are the local locations in which they are going to digest it. So why must food be digested? So this is a very important question. You can say the $100 question. The why the food going to be a need to be digested. So basically, as I already told you, that the cell membrane are not able to possess the complex molecule or the large molecule. So hence, they have to be, you can say, converted us to into the small molecule. So that's why when we are going to convert, or we are converting these large and complex molecule inside the small molecules, then only our blood can accept that. And this is why we are eating and why we are doing these all process, because if we are not going to do that, our blood cannot be circulated with the nutrition. And if this our blood not going to be get this kind of melted food inside our body, they are not going to produce energy. And if there will be no energy, we are not going to do anything or any our activities. So that's why this whole process that is very important for the developmental process of human being and animals and even plants. Now we have to see what are the step of digestion. So the very first step, if we talk about here, so that is digestion. So this is a step where we have to consume of a taking of nutrition. So like when we are eating, the first step we put a bite inside our mouth. That is called digestion. Simple language. Digestion. So the chemical breakdown of large organic molecule into smaller component. What we are talking about in last 2 to 3 slides. That is digestion. Third, absorption. So after the digestion happen and the large molecular food will be converted into the small molecular food, after that this have to be transported into the blood tissue or the body tissue. So at that time, this transport or delivery of digestive nutrients to the body tissues, that process is called absorption. That is very important, because if there is not going to present, no organ will be going to have energy inside them. Fourth one is assimilation. So assimilation is a conversion of the absorbed food into the substance of the body. So the very important substances which have to be needed by the body to develop or in the developmental phases, or you can say the energy formation phases. So all these process can be done under the assimilation phase. Last is egestion. So that was about the elimination of the foods, or you can say the waste food material which are not no longer required inside a body, or they can be a little toxic, harmful, or they do not have any kind of nutrition in them. So basically a garbage for the body. So they have to be excreted out. So in the process of digestion, we are going to excrete them out from our body. So then, hence, you can say there are the five major steps which all come collectively under the digestion: egestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. So I think you all going to remember these. So now, very first process, that is egestion, and what is the basic organ of us to be responsible for the egestion process, and that is our mouth. Okay, so mouth eats the food, and after the egestion, that the second work of come with the teeth. So the teeth that masticate the food into the small pieces to increase the surface area. So as the first digestion start inside the mouth, you can say the start digestion. So at that time, these teeth have to very important or major kind of role have to be played, so that they are going to convert it, that large molecule of the food which we eat it have to be converted into small pieces. So hence they can increase the surface area for the digestion. Now the saliva, our saliva, you can say a biggest type of structure inside our mouth, that have a pH of 7. moisten and soften food. So, what is the basic function of the saliva? First function has been done by the mouth to conversion of the larger molecule to smaller molecule. Second function is about the saliva. They needed to be moisten and soften of the food material. So basically, saliva soften out our food. Third process is conversion of the starch to the maltose by our salivary glands, or you can say the enzyme which has been secreted by the salivary glands, that is amylase, is the very first enzyme, or you can say digestion, that is started with our mouth only. Fourth one is your tongue, that mix our food with saliva and roll food into a bolus before swallowing. So basically, the what is the function of tongue here? They help the salivary glands to mix all the food together, and they have to be a very important role for the swallowing process. Now, what are the basic things which we are going to use in the mouth? That is saliva, water, mucus, and salivary amylase. These all things have a major role to play the start of the process of digestion. Next here, the second thing is going to be useful is esophagus. Okay, this esophagus, that is very long tube-like structure. You can see it in green. This is our esophagus. Food pipe, sometimes people say that. Approximately that is 10 prime long. Function include one, secrete mucus. So the very first function of this esophagus is to secrete the mucus. Second function, they have to move the food from the mouth to the stomach. So the second function is that is called the peristalsis, in which they have to do the formation, or you can say they have to do the transfer of the food from their throat to the stomach, and this whole process is going to use some muscle movement, and that muscle movement is called the peristalsis. It acid from the stomach gets in here, that is heartburn. So basically, there are some acid from the stomach sometimes get in here, like we are having some called the acidity. So in the acidity, what happens, sometimes the juice of the stomach that can come back towards the mouth or esophagus, that is called the heartburn process. This is happens sometime when our food not get digested properly as it has to be. So at that time we can have to face this heartburns. You can see the whole process is swallowing. The very first picture here, that the food is got agitated in the mouth. Second, teeth is going to chew that process. Third, is saliva is going to mix with that particular food. Fourth, now the bolus of the sweet food that have to be through the uh, our esophagus. Now there are food inside the esophagus, and the bulb, or the you can say the movement of muscles of esophagus led them to the pass on to the our stomach. So what happens during breathing and swallowing? So sometimes these questions come into our mind, like when we are swallowing. So what happened to the breathing process? Like they look very close to each other, esophagus and our air tube. So this automatically induces violent coughing to force the food particle or water out and to prevent choking. So what happened there? Sometimes they include the violent coughing. So when we got the food and the air, sometime when we are talking so much, when we are eat while we are eating, so that problem can be happen only when we are talking, when we are eating, and also that is automatic function that we are breathing. So that have to be very careful about that. You don't talk much when you are while you are eating. So that's why this problem can be happen. Now, the second thing what we have to study here, that is our stomach. So, our stomach is the J-shaped feature or J-shaped muscular bag that stores the food you eat, breaks it down into the tiny pieces. So, this is our stomach. You can see that is a somehow that is a J shape. To mix food with the digestive juices, this is the very first function of the stomach, because they are containing the lots of enzyme to break down of the proteins and lipid. So very first breakdown of protein and lipid they are going to have under the stomach position, and the acid in the stomach kills the bacteria. Food found in the stomach is called chyme. So what have to do inside the stomach? All the bacteria which are going to be harmful for our body, they have to be digested or kills inside the stomach. And the position of the food inside the stomach when they are mileaged or some of the particles have been digested or mixed with digestive juices that called the chyme. So we will see what are the function of the stomach in the brief. So first, storing of the food. They store the food, whatever pass on. Producing intestinic factor, important in B12 absorption in the small intestine. So they are producing these IF factors, intestinic factors, which are going to be helpful in the small intestine when they are going to absorb the B12. Digestion protein, they are having the digestion protein which going to help the protein to be digested. Controlling the proper amount of food leaving the stomach for the small intestine, they're controlling every amount of food which is going to under small intestine. So they have to be very careful about that. Producing hormone gastrin, helping in pepsin and HCl production in the stomach and bile production in the liver. So they have to produce gastrin. Okay, and this gastrin they are helping in pepsin and HCl production. So basically pepsin is for the proteins, and the HCl is the full digestion of the food that is present inside the stomach, and also the bile juice production inside the liver. So these all things can be controlled by the stomach gastrin production. Buffering the food condition, it is too alkaline, so they basically convert the food in a buffer medium, so that's why they can be too alkaline. Now, the next function is all about the small intestine. So, the small intestine, they are roughly 7 meters long. Okay, it's you can say that these are very lengthy ones, 7 meter long. Lining of intestine wall has finger-like projection called villi. So basically, they are having some outgrowth, some finger-like projection on the inner wall of the intestine. What they are going to do, they just to do the increasement of the surface area inside the intestine, and that are going to help more absorption inside the intestine. So the villi are covered in the macrovilli, which further increase surface area of the absorption. And also some these of the villi, they are having some microvilli inside the villi for having a great producing a great surface area for absorption. Now you can see a little huge diagram of the intestine. This is called the starting point, that is called duodenum, and this is called jejunum. Okay, there is a two basic part, that is the duodenum and the one is a jejunum. So the majority of the chemical digestion occur in the first of three sections of the small intestine, that is called the duodenum. So very starting three sections of this small intestine, they are doing the major particle absorption. So that is called the duodenum, and the section that contain an opening from the bile duct and pancreatic duct through which bile and pancreatic enzymes enter the small intestine. So this section, they are responsible even for the basic entry for bile duct and pancreatic duct, through which going to be the bile juice and pancreatic enzymes going to come under the this small intestine, and they are going to help them for the converting food material. So the food entered the small intestines as a semi-solid matrix that is known as chyme. So this chyme has been formed inside the stomach, and that chyme molecule is now present inside the small intestine, and the whole absorption process of this chyme have to be done by the all the juices which are going to be come to these duodenum portion. You can see the diagram here. This is the liver, and they are going to do the bile secretion. This is the gallbladder, they are working for the contraction, and this is the bile duct. The both are secreting their enzymes and their juices to this duodenum area. Stomach, they already passes their chyme into this area for absorption. Pancreas, they're having several kind of enzymes and bicarbonate secretion. So basically, all these things inside this duodenum, they're helping these small intestine to get or increased more rate of the absorption by having particular enzyme digestion. So the chyme is acidic due to the HCl in the stomach, so it be need to be neutralized. So when the food passes from the stomach to this small intestine, they are acidic in nature. Why? Because the HCl present inside the stomach and the food has been mixed with the HCl for its proper digestion. So the presence of chyme in the small intestine triggered the conversion of prosectrin into the sectrin, which is absorbed into the bloodstream and carried to the pancreas. So now one function happen inside this small intestine that going to trigger the prosectrin converted into the sectrin. So this sectrin conversion, this will able to help blood to carry, you can say they will be help them to absorb inside the blood, which can carry them to the this pancreas. Okay, this will now going to the pancreas. So after this, there will be a function of the large intestine. So they are 5 feet of the long. Still, they can be called as long intestine, but as they are the small in number as comparison to the small intestine. Except what intestine doesn't absorb, and you can say rectum, short-term storage, which hold feces before it is expelled. So the things which have to be left out by the small intestine, okay, some of the part which has not been digested by the small intestine, so these part will be remain with the large intestine to grow, and this large intestine hold that waste, or you can say going to be a waste product for a short time period. That is called the rectum, at what they are going to store all these things. Now, the last thing here in the digestion, that is the anus. And the human anus is the external opening of the rectum. So its closure is contracted by the sphincter muscle. So basically, their opening and the closing that will be controlled by a special kind of muscle that is called the sphincter muscles. So this human anus that is very extremely important for extracting out the waste material from inside the body. Feces are expelled from the body through the anus during the act of defecation and the primary function of the anus. So this defecation process in which we are going to extract out the waste product from inside of the body to the outside, and this is the very important and primary function of anus has to be done. Now we have to see some accessory organ, or you can say these are not very clearly the essential one. All we already studied, they will the essential one. Without them, no digestion process can be take place. But these accessory organ, they are also very important. But they are called as accessory because if we are going to compare between the essential and the accessory, they are having a little less importance as comparison to those organs. So now we are talking about the first the salivary glands. So we already know the salivary glands present inside the mouth, and they do the process for the digestion of starch and converting into the maltase by the enzyme amylase. So that's very important work have to be done by the salivary glands. Second is the liver. That is very important. We will see it one by one. Okay. So the very first salivary glands, so they are the parotid glands, produces serious watery secretion, okay, and the submaxillary mandibular gland produce a mixed serious and mucus secretion, and the sublingual gland secrete a saliva that is predominantly mucus in character. So now here are three salivary glands which are present inside our mouth: parotid, submaxillary, and sublingual. And all these three are going to work for having the conversion of the food into a saliva mix formation, or you can see moisten the food, soften the food, and started the digestion of starch inside them. Now the liver. This is a large accessory organ. If we compare the glands with the liver is a larger one. is accessory organ by their digestive system, how they are going to help the digestive system, that is by producing a fluid that is known as a bile. So basically, liver is famous for their bile juices because they are having a very great tendency for the retardation or absorption of the food material. So bile is stored in the gallbladder until it is needed in the small intestine. So basically, this bile that present, or you can say they are stored in the gallbladder, but liver make them to come out and help inside the small intestine for the absorption of food. Now, how the liver and gallbladder work, like this bile juice that has been stored inside the gallbladder, but we are calling them a liver function. So, how these things are connected? So, the presence of lipid in the small intestine trigger the release of the hormone that is called the cholestatokinase. This is in short that is called the CCK. So, basically, when the lipid is present in a small intestine, they are going to trigger one hormone that is called CCK. This will trigger the release of the bile from the gallbladder. So that CCK hormone going to the gallbladder, and they are indicating them to release the bile juice from their body. So now they are secreting the bile juice from there. So this bile that is contain the bile salt where that emulsify fat, which means is break down into smaller droplets so they can be digested. So now what bile going to be do? They are emulsified the fats. Okay, they are just, you can say they are breaking down the fats into the small component. So they converting them into the small droplet, and in that droplet that going to be utilized inside the body. So that's why they are very important juice, or you can say they have a very large variety. This is a gallbladder. If we see the diagram here, gallbladder and this kind of foci, major duodenum papilla, in which they are going to do the emulsify of fat. This is the liver, basically the liver that induce this whole gallbladder thing to release the juices. Now the third accessory organ we are going to talk about, that is gallbladder. So store bile in between meals, so that have to be stored the bile juices. Secrete bile to the duodenum through the bile duct during the mealtime. Okay, so the mealtime they are secreted in the bile juice. Bile juice, why the bile juice is so important? They contain the bile salts, pigment, cholesterol, phospholipids. So basically, these all things have to be present inside the bile, and they are going to help use inside the food digestion process. Bile is an emulsifier, not an enzyme. So basically, if we talk about bile juice, they are just an emulsifier of the fat. They are not a enzyme. So you have to be remember the bile juice is not enzyme. They are emulsifiers. So they emulsifier is basically that is dissolved fat into the watery content of the intestine. So basically, the fat, which is a little solid particle, or you can say the fat is present in a solid molecules, and this solid molecule have to be converted into the watery content. So this process is known as the emulsifying process, and this emulsifying process has been done by the bile juices. Now, what is the function of liver here? So regulation of blood glucose concentration, that is very important, because without this whole blood glucose concentration, there will be no ATPs that are going to be generated. So too much glucose in blood, insulin is secreted, liver converted glucose into the glycogen. If there are so many, you can say if the quantity of the glucose that has been increased inside the body, then insulin is secreted from the hypothalamus, indicated insulin to be secreted, and then after the secretion of the insulin, the whole process of conversion of the glucose into the glycogen, you can say glycogen is a form of storage glucose. Okay, so that will whole conversion process of this glucose into the glycogen, that will be done under the liver, or that is very important process, because this glycogen is going to be helpful when body don't have the glucose inside to make ATPs. At that time, these glycogen going to help the body to convert them into the glucose, and after having a glucose, we can make the energy from that. So that blood glucose concentration decreases. So whole process when this glucose is going to convert into the glycogen, so after that, they are very helpful. So they can be reduce the rate of glucose inside the blood. Second process, production of bile. So liver only. If the liver is not present, bile juice cannot be secreted from the gallbladder to the in small intestine. So this whole gallbladder thing, which have to be secreted the bile juice into the small intestine, that all governed by the liver. Next, some major functions of liver: iron storage. Okay, so the red blood cells that destroyed in the spleen and their hemoglobin is sent to the liver to be broken down. So basically, when the red blood cell they are dead, they will send to the spleen. That is normal process. After uh, dying, they will be sent to the spleen, and their hemoglobin, which have to be present in the RBC, that has to be sent to the liver. And in liver, they needed to be break down. So when the hemoglobin is breakdown, the iron has to be released. So that released iron that going to be stored in the liver. And the bile pigment are also formed from the breakdown of hemoglobin. So the bile juice which have to be produced inside our body, that are also related to the breakdown of hemoglobin. So the more hemoglobin will be breakdown in the liver, so more the bile juice going to be reduced. So this is how they are related. Protein synthesis. Liver synthesize protein found in blood plasma like albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen. So they are a very special kind of the protein that can also be synthesized inside the liver. Fifth, a very important function of the liver is the deamination of the amino acids. So, if the excess of amino acid are transported to the liver, where their amino groups are removed and converted to the urea. So, if there are a lot of amino acid are present here, so what we do, we are just removing their amino group, or you can say their R group has been removed, and what they are going to convert it into the urea. And after they will be making the urea, they can easily excrete out from the body. Now the next accessory organ, that is the pancreas. This is also a accessory organ in the digestive system, and it releases chemicals to aid in digestion. So this is also important that they are going to release the chemicals. Secreting will stimulate the pancreas to release a solution containing bicarbonate ions into the small intestine, where it will neutralize the acidic chyme and raise the pH from 2.5 to 9. Now, what is the major function of the pancreas? That they have to secrete the secretin, or what the secretin will be do, they are having the solution which containing the bicarbonate into that. So this bicarbonate thing which has been present in the pancreas, they have to neutralize the pH of the chyme food. So the pH, if the pH was a 2.5, then they have to be take them to the 9.0. So this ninth pH, from the 2.5 to the 9 pH, that is whole the conversion of the acidic to the pH of the basic pattern. So this all take the inactivate of the pactin. So this whole process will be done by the pancreas. So this is very important, because if the food will be remain as a acidic product, they cannot be utilized. So they have to be converted into a basic buffer medium. So this basic buffer medium will be done by the pancreas. How the pancreas and carbohydrate work along. So the amylase enzyme that are released from the pancreas that break down carbohydrate chain into a small chains called disaccharides. So these carbohydrate, if we see their complex version, they are the polysaccharides. So what happened inside the pancreas? They basically break down the chain, and they will be forming the disaccharides. Then the small intestine release disaccharide enzyme which break those small chain into individual sugar. Now after in the small intestine, they are having some disaccharides enzyme. What these disaccharides enzyme going to do? They will convert the disaccharide to the monosaccharides, or you can say the individual sugar which have to be utilized in our body. Now the pancreas and the protein. So this is the trypsinogen. Okay, that is a protein digesting enzyme. So that is also very important because pancreas also have a capacity to digest the protein inside them. So this enzyme is released into the small intestine where it converted into the trypsin and it break down the large protein chains into the smaller chains. So this trypsin they are going to present in the small intestine, and what they are going to do there, they're just converting the large molecule into the small molecules, and this small molecules only going to be have absorbed inside the small intestine. So the final step in the protein digestion occurs with the release of erepsin. This from the pancreas, so then they break the smaller chain into individual amino acids. So first the trypsin and second in erepsin. So both they are going to be make the final product of protein breakdown, and that are the amino acids. So these amino acids are individually required inside a body, and the pancreas are going to secrete those enzymes which are going to help the protein to form from the complex to the simplest form. So this is how the pancreas is going to digest or break down the protein molecule. Now, the how or what kind of digestion will be happen inside the intestine. So the very first here, carbohydrates. So the polysaccharides, pancreatic amylase will be converted into the disaccharides. Then disaccharides from intestine, disaccharides enzyme plus water, they will be converted into the monosaccharide. And after that, we can utilize. Protein, we already studied pancreas that are going to secrete the trypsin and chymotrypsin. They will be converted into the carboxylase peptidase. Oh, sorry, they converted into the protein fragment. And after the enzyme activity of the carboxylase peptidase from the pancreas, they will be converted into the more fragmentases plus water. After again the aminopeptidase enzyme from the intestine, they are going to finally convert it into the amino acids. So these enzymes, basically you can see in the digestion of the protein inside the small intestine, they are going to use the three enzymes. The very first, trypsin and chymotrypsin, that going to break them in a small fragment. Carbopeptidase from pancreas that again break down in a most diform, and the last one, that is the aminopeptidase, which are going to convert them into the amino acid, and only in the form of amino acid they can be used inside the body. Now, in what form body are going to absorb the materials? So we have to be very specific to that, like at what condition these are going to absorb them. So here you can see in the form when we are going to break down the carbs, we can absorb them in the form of glucose, fructose, and galactose. Okay, amino acid when we are going to break down the protein, that we are going to have the amino acid across the epithelial cell membrane by active transpiration, and the glucose, fructose, and galactose they are absorbed by the microvilli by active transpiration, then leave the cell and enter the capillaries. Third, water, vitamins, and minerals they are absorbed by diffusion without digestion. They do not need any kind of digestion process. Vitamins, mineral, water they can just directly absorb. So there are no very specific kind of cycles in our body to have been written for their metabolic and catabolic activities. All the metabolic catabolic activity are centered towards the glucose or a carbohydrate cycle, lipid cycle, fat cycle. So basically, these are the cycle or these are the digestion which have to be needed inside our body to have to absorb these material and convert it into energy. Now, the structure of villas, if we see, which is the part of the intestine, so these each villas contain a capillary network along with the lateral. So this the center portion that is lateral, and these are the blood vessels. You can see there are several capillary networks. Okay, and finally they are connecting with the blood vessels. So whatever the things they are going to absorb, they are going to convert it or transfer them into the blood vessels. So that's a very important point to move beside the villus. So end product of the protein, carbs, digestion enter in the capillary network. So this capillary network, the glucose, fructose, amino acid, whatever the things had been as a byproduct of digestion, they are going to be converted or they are going to be passed on this villi capillary network and formally they will going to this blood vessel system. What happened in the amino acid and glucose after absorption? So, firstly, molecular pass into the epithelial cell through wall of capillaries in the villus and into the bloodstream. The capillaries join up from the veins. Veins unite to form one large vein, that is the hepatic portal vein. Hepatic portal vein carried blood to liver. Liver store or alter product for digestion. If there are a lot product, they will be converted into the glycogen. If they are less, they will be going for the another chain for forming the energy. Carried blood to liver and product for digestion, product released from the liver into general blood circulation. So whatever the product will be formed inside the liver, they will be carried forward into the blood. Absorption of lipid by cell in the small intestine. You can see by diagrams how the large lipid droplet that is going to be mixing bile salt, converting into small molecules. Now we have these villi or mucosal cell, they are going to absorb that. After absorbing in the endoplasmic reticulum, they are having the synthesis of the fat, or you can say the small molecules. They have to be triglyceride formation, that is very important in the energy production. You can see in a flow diagram, molecule pass to the epithelial cell, recombine with fats again in epithelial cell, fat into the lactylase, lymph plus fat, chyle formation, lymphatic vessel discharge, chyle into the bloodstream. So this is the main flow diagram which can be happen when the fatty acid and the glycerol absorbed after the digestion process. So this is all about, or you can say this is a whole summary of your digestion process, how from the egestion to the excretion happens inside our body and how these small molecules going to absorb inside our body and they are going to convert into the energy. So digestion is the process is all about like the how we can break down of a complex molecule in the simplest form and can utilize them inside our body. So the enzyme present in pancreatic juice are, I think now you are able to answer these questions. Which of the following hormones stimulate the production of pancreatic juice and bicarbonate? I told you. Infants' gastric juice contain the absorption of fructose by interstitial mucosa is carboxypeptidase require like which of the component? Sodium and other ions facilitate absorption of what? Secretion and cholecystosaccharin are secreted in which part of the small intestine? Which of the following hydrolytic enzyme act at low pH? Which of the following is synthesized and stored in the liver cell? And the last, the disease caused by the deficiency of nicotinic acid is. Even if you wanted to read something more about digestion process, you can go through these references. They are going to help you because there are a lot of more information has been given in these sources. And still, if you have any problem, you can come and ask me. So that's all about the digestion today. Thank you.